to another episode of the Get At It Gaming Plus podcast. I am one of your hosts, Ben,
I'm Alex.
and we are a weekly, all nerdy, geeky podcast. Talk about the things in the nerdy, geeky world that are happening, what our thoughts are, and let's just be honest, we usually have all the things that we talk about are things that we actually want to talk about. This episode will post this week on Wednesday at 8 a.m. We do not post every week. We post every other week. So next week there will be no episode. And then we also have our YouTube channel that will a video version if you want to look at us and see what we look like. That will post on Friday.
Yeah, if you want to see what we look like, be forewarned that we're not beautiful, or maybe we are. Maybe we're just punking you, and we're being what's that? Who was the guy who did Punked?
Oh, Ashton
Kutcher. Yeah, maybe we're being Ashton Kutcher on you.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like I could snag a Kardashian because I feel like it's not that hard. But
now I have to say burn because I'm Ashton Kutcher.
I mean, Pete Davidson seems to do it, so I think I got a good chance. But this isn't about Kardashians or Pete Davidson. Yes. This is our nerdy podcast that is bi-weekly. We're super excited to go to bi-weekly. This will be a very good show. So what we're talking about today, we're going to talk about James Earl Jones retiring from the voice of Darth Vader. There was a Deadpool 3 announcement today that was pretty cool. For GTA, there were leaks. They feel sad about a game that's taken this long to make. G4 and Layoffs just over a year. New Twitch payout structure. And the return of E3 that no one asked for. I'm in a mood tonight, which would be great. But before we do that, we're going to talk about what we've been playing, watching, or hidden trophies. I know Alex and I said we don't have any hidden trophies. But, Alex, what have you been playing, or what have you been watching? And if it's what we were talking about earlier, make sure you call spoilers.
Okay. Well, first of all, how dare you say I don't have a hidden trophy? As you know, as you should know, I have a mismatch. There's clearly not 750 in there anymore. I just have a tub of Q-tips just sitting over here on my desk. That's a hidden trophy right there.
That's a hidden trophy.
I mean, I use the Q-tips. Like I like to keep them in here because sometimes if it gets slow or whatever, like work wise, there was one time where like it was really slow at work and I just like fixed the N64 controller and it was just really nice. So like yeah, I like to keep that kind of stuff in here for that. Let's see what I've been watching, playing all this stuff. So I actually have been playing a couple games. I've been playing .hack GU again. I beat GU2 yesterday, I think. So now I'm playing GU3 in that last recode collection. There are 4 total now. There used to be just 3. And I've heard the 4th one is pretty short since they kind of just like made it as an epilogue type thing since it was never in the original PS2 games at all. So I'm interested to see how this is going. I found out that when I last played the game like years ago, like on PS2, the last boss that the boss that I got to and lost at was the last boss. So I did get to the end of GU2. So I actually am pretty proud of that. The final boss of GU2, I'm not going to say spoilers or anything necessarily because you might play that someday as well since you own it. But the boss was kind of a twist, but kind of not. But also the bosses, this will make no sense to you, but the boss's like power. So the thing with GU is that in the original .hack, people have seen me play. You saw me stream a little bit. Remember those like weird big bosses I was fighting? Like the 8 phases of Morgana. So like there was Skaith in the first one, which is the Terror of Death, which is what your character is in GU Haseo. So basically, people in the GU games, there are special people who are called epitaph users and can basically use those bosses from the previous games as like avatars. So then you go into like this weird 3D space, like flying around, I don't know, type of gameplay instead of like your normal like action RPG gameplay at certain parts of the game. And this person, their phase of Morgana is Corbinek, and I want to say Corbinek was the thing. Not, I think it was the last thing that we fought, if I remember correctly. Like the final thing. Because there were Cubias, I remember, which were like the really tough ones that I was fighting in the old games, and then Corbinek was the one where like there were like 5 different like fights I had to go through, and the reason why it made me think it was this one, because it could bring up their, I don't know, like these shadow guys around them, and at certain points you have to defeat those instead of the boss. So there's some for healing, which is what Cubia and Cormanek used to do. There's some for like shields, so you have to destroy those first before you can actually attack the main boss. But if the main boss in GU2 gets too low of health, then it summons 3 healer guys, and then it's impossible unless you're either super high level or you're just like spamming your like special attack button. Like it's impossible to like get them close to killed enough to where the boss isn't back at half health already. And so I think that's where I fell off originally in the previous game, when I played it on PS2 way back when. It's because there's a huge difficulty spike. I probably wasn't high enough level. I still feel like I'm not high enough level for 3, because like it's making me go to a level 95 place. I'm level 87.
Oh, wow.
And according to, from what it looks like in Dahak GU3 at least, we go above level 100, which is the first ever for a Dahak game. So like I saw when I was typing in keywords and trying to find new areas to grind in, I saw one that was like level 120. So I bet like this might go to like level 150 or something. I just don't know how big this game is, but I do think it's interesting how the first game was very chill. And then this game is just all of a sudden like, nope, there's a huge difficulty spike here because you're not gaining EXP when you're fighting these bosses. But overall, I'm enjoying it. I wasn't enjoying part 2 as much in the beginning, but after a certain point, I was like, oh, this is actually good again. Like I'm enjoying the story. I'm enjoying certain parts. But it was getting kind of cringy and kind of, I don't know, emo, I guess, because like the main character he's a loner, and he like hates everyone, and he's only, if he has friends, then that means he has someone he has to care about, so he'd rather have no friends at all, like that type of person. And shout outs to like the vocal cast though, because the main guy is Yuri Lowenthal, and Yuri Lowenthal is a treasure. I love Yuri Lowenthal so much. He's in case you don't know, for people listening, Yuri Lowenthal is Ben Tennyson in Ben 10, Ultimate Alien, the Omniverse, Alien Force, like the teenage Ben 10. He is Sasuke Uchiha in Naruto. He is the new Spider-Man in the Marvel Spider-Man game. He is a bunch of things, and so it's really cool to listen to him be this character. Like he's kind of like in his little place, because like when these happen, like Naruto was big, so like he's doing the same thing, but as a nerdy 19-year-old MMORPG kid, instead of just like a, I don't know, an emo ninja who actually has a reason to be that way. um yeah, that's all I've really been playing. I might buy something later, but we'll see on that. But otherwise, what I've been watching and stuff. we kind of talked about earlier, before we're recording and stuff. But um, one thing that I did watch that we'll talk about here first was I rewatched Rogue One, Star Wars Rogue One. Um, I've only seen this movie once before. I saw it in theaters, and I did not really enjoy it. I could see why people might enjoy it, but I did not really enjoy it at all. And I think the reasoning for that was it's not a Star Wars movie. It really isn't. Like, it's not paced like a Star Wars movie. If I
No,
I want to say it's the very first Star Wars movie that doesn't. It might be the only Star Wars movie, unless Solo does this too. It doesn't have the crawl, like the text crawl at all. It just
I'm
starts.
trying to think if it does.
Yeah, because Rogue One doesn't. Like, it just starts immediately, and you're like, oh, the movie's going. So I was watching this with a friend as well, and our complaints are kind of the same still. Um, there are problems. I guess spoilers for Rogue One. This movie's been out for a long time. There are problems with this movie. I can see why people like it again, but there are nitpicks or whatever. They go to too many planets, and because of that, not a whole lot of locations are memorable. The only real places that are memorable are like the final place and the place where BB guy, Mads Mikkelsen is, where her father is, like when it's raining and all of that. So like those are the two main memorable places. I guess the place where Forrest Whitaker is as well. Um, wow, I can't remember his name. Saw Gerrera. Um, but yeah, like those might be the three main places. But I want to say there's like 8 to 10 places that they go to in that film,
They're scale.
and
I mean,
they're just like barely there too. It's just like, here's a name drop of some random planet you're never gonna see again, and this is
yeah.
for a book. Are you happy yet?
I loved that movie in the theater. Now I went with my kids who are older now, but it wasn't too long ago, and you know it was kind of funny because they were like that movie sucked, and I go, why did it suck? They go, because every spoiler, everybody dies. I said, that whole movie is for one line in New Hope. Like when they're getting ready to go to the Death Star in New Hope, and she's like, you know, like I can't remember the exact word. She's like, a lot of people died to get us this information. There it was. They all died to get this information, and a lot of the deaths were very sad. Um, especially Donnie Yen's character was sad.
Mm-hmm.
His friends was sad. Um, the robot who finally got a gun. Uh, it just was, but I thought it was well done. Director Krennic was an awesome like bad guy.
Yeah,
Even when he went to go tattle to Darth Vader.
yeah. I thought he was good.
Oh yeah, I thought that was great. Um, but yeah, like I still love that movie. I still watch it a couple times a year.
Yeah, like again, I can see there's a lot of good things about it, and there are cool things about it. One thing that I did really enjoy, and something that I did bring up when I was watching it with someone, was I really like watching a Star Wars film because there's more life in the film. There's more life in the background compared to us watching Mandalorian or Boba Fett, or even Obi-Wan, the Kenobi show. Like they're just there. There's a lot more extras and just people in the background, um, instead of tighter shots in the shows because they can't afford all those people, or they don't want to because the way that their stage is built, it's a green screen stage and you can only go so far. um, so I really do like that about it. I thought the main uh girl was pretty good. I like Mads Mikkelsen performance. Yeah, I like the bad guy's performance. I still hate K2SO with a passion. He is the most annoying. He's not annoying, not as annoying maybe as another droid from Star Wars Rebels. Um, and I blanking on his name, but yeah, otherwise, yeah, I still hate that droid. I just don't find him funny. He's just there to just be like, I'm a crazy droid. I have a personality. I'm like that other droid in the Solo movie. Except I'm maybe worse. I'm not sure. Um but yeah, there's that. And another problem with this film, um it, and this is kind of just a thing that you kind of notice, is that people are only really named or addressed by their name like once or twice if you're a side character, unless you're the main characters. And even then, like John, like that guy Donnie Yen, like I don't remember that guy's name because they've said his name like once, and that was it. And that makes no sense to me. And he was memorable, but the character he was playing wasn't as memorable to me because they just never spoke anyone's names. So I'm just like, oh yeah, that guy with who's like who's blind and he's has force and all this. And then yeah, here there's his friend, and then there's Pilot, and we didn't know the pilot's name until they called the pilot's name over the intercom.
Yeah.
And the whole time it's just like, yep, he's Pilot. That's his name. It just seems to be like just weird little things that they forgot about. Um, but that's that's a little bit nitpicking, but at the same time, I feel like it's not for that because
Right.
you're trying to sell toys and you're trying to tell a story. And if no one knows who Donnie Yen is, then you're not gonna find his toy.
Uh, just for the record, I have his action figure back there.
Yeah.
Someday I will get him to sign it. Someday.
All right. I wish you well on that. Tell him you're one with the Force, then Forces with you, or whatever he says.
I think that is going to be. I don't know how attainable that is, but
Yeah. So yeah, I watched that. So overall it's fine movie. It's definitely better than most Star Wars films. It's above Attack of the Clones for me. So the way I make Star Wars films is 5 at the top, 6, 4, 1, 3, or maybe 3, 1. It depends. 1 and 3 are kind of the same to me, honestly. I really like Phantom Menace. But yeah, 1 and 3 it depends. And then I guess Rogue One, and now maybe Solo. I would have to rewatch it, and then Attack of the Clones, and then the rest of them, because I still don't like the sequel trilogy because that's pure garbage. Yeah, we don't talk about that until I do a rewatch, and then maybe we'll talk about it at some point. But yeah, because I watched Star Wars, I was watching it for the new Star Wars show that happened, and we both watched the first episode of Andor, and we kind of talked about it earlier. I'd like to get your thoughts from you first, because I've been talking a really long time, and it seems like I'm just talking to myself.
I want to say that there were spoilers. Spoilers ahead.
Spoilers ahead. We've only watched one episode. 3 episodes came out at once, so we're only getting a snippet of this supposed pilot.
I want to give it. I want to give it a more of a try. For me, it was a little slow. It was a little dry. And right as it started picking up, the episode ended. Now obviously this is before Rogue One, and I guess my biggest problem is you had, his stuff that he was going on right then and there. You had flashbacks from when he was a kid. It was just like a lot for 45 minutes without being able to get to the end of like what we were trying to get at.
So, question for you, because I don't know the answer, and I want to know if you came to the same conclusion that I did. So he's looking for his sister.
Correct.
And the older woman that was in that tribe of people from his flashback, is that the same girl that he goes and visits?
I think so.
Okay, because that's what I was getting from all that. I don't know what their deal is. I don't know what the background of any of that stuff is. It makes no sense to me. This whole show makes no sense to me. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, so like what Alex said, like obviously, I'm guessing that's her. Is my thought because they've known each other for so long. That's her. Um, I don't know. Like, I need to watch more episodes. I do, and sorry, it's been a long week. I need to watch more episodes to get an idea of where they're going with it. Like, what is your plan? What do you plan to get? I mean, overall, we know what happens because of Rogue One. You know, but what are they trying to get to in the show? Because at this volume now, he doesn't seem as confident as he was at the beginning of Rogue One.
Yeah, so my complaint about him again, which kind of came from Rogue One. I thought he was solid more than less in Rogue One, but he was very much a, hey, you guys like Han Solo? We made a new Han Solo for you, and
Yes,
this is him. And I think that's his biggest flaw is that he is Han Solo. And now that they're trying to give him a backstory, like how they did with Han Solo and Solo, I think it might flop because of that. Because we don't need to know how someone becomes this. It's like the Joker. Like we don't need to know who the Joker is. We just need to know that he's the Joker now, and that's just what he is. Or same thing with Han Solo. So I think that's the gonna be the downfall of this show is learning the backstory about someone who matters enough in the grand scheme of this whole universe, but at the same time doesn't. So it feels maybe kind of wasted unless these characters show back up later, which is my concern because Star Wars is now Marvel, because Disney. And what I mean by that is everything is connected and you have to watch everything to understand everything. Um so like Rebels, like there's the new we talked about the new Ahsoka show that's coming out. Like that is a sequel to Rebels, which is a cartoon. So everyone who has never watched Rebels or Clone Wars or anything is going to be lost because they don't want to watch a cartoon because that's for babies. I'm going to watch my big boy show where there's aliens and people with katanas that are lightsabers. Like I don't know, like it's the same stuff. Um,
right,
so like that's my concern is that even if I don't like this show, I'm gonna have to watch it anyway because I care more about Star Wars than I do about Marvel. In the sense of like I feel like I can, I still never finished Falcon Winter Soldier because I just couldn't get into it. And so,
yeah,
but in the grand scheme of things of that, I just need to know like two key points and that's it. But with Star Wars, you're gonna need to know a lot about each show in order to just understand the next show
right,
potentially. Like Bad Batch, like there are people in Bad Batch, and you see Kanan, who is like a main character in Rebels. You see him as a Padawan near the beginning of Order 66, and in Rebels he's like a 20-something-year-old man. So yeah, everything connects, and that's scary. So I'm gonna have to. If I don't like this, I'm still gonna have to watch it.
right, and that's understandable. Like, I will finish it
Yeah,
even if I don't like it.
yeah, because Star Wars.
Of course, I think more than Marvel, Star Wars has that imprint on people's brains, and I think you could talk about Marvel, and a lot of people couldn't name like a large selection of Marvel people. But if you talk about Star Wars, oh yeah, Star Wars, yeah, Luke Skywalker probably give you the plot. So I think that they're banking on that. And that's why people will watch it. I do want to see where the show goes because right now it's just really slow. But I also remember Book of Boba Fett being slow.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is Boba Fett in the universe is an alive character. We thought he was dead, but he's not, and he's a live character.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we'll have to wait and see where it goes.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. Another thing, I guess, that I watch. Oh, man, there was something else I wanted to say. Now I don't remember what. Oh, I looked it up. I was trying to look up the name of the water planet. So in the beginning of spoilers again. In the beginning of Andor, um, they're like he was like on a long bridge and it was raining. I'm like, oh, are we on Camino for some reason? That doesn't make any sense. Are we on Camino? Are there clones and stuff? Nope, it was just some random city, and I was disappointed. um, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. Again, we've only watched one episode of it, but there were 3 episodes that came out together. I will probably watch the next 2 here in the upcoming week, as well as the newest episode because this airs on Wednesdays. I think. Yeah, the show should air on Wednesdays. So, um see about that. Otherwise, speaking of Marvel, I watched Shang-Chi. I was trying to think, I'm like, did I talk about this on the podcast? I don't think so yet. Oh, we talked about it earlier. So this is why we shouldn't have conversations before the podcast. We should just go
I know
for it.
we should just get them while they're hot.
Yeah,
Like we're
exactly. So I watched Shang-Chi for the first time. And I liked it overall. I thought there were some cringe moments in it, to be honest, mostly with his friend in the beginning. Is that Aquafina? That is. Okay, that's what I thought.
yeah. People give that film a lot of shit because they're like, oh, Aquafina's a comedian. She's not an action star. I thought she did pretty well.
I think she did.
I think she adds that comic element that sometimes some of these Marvel films need.
Yeah, for sure. I think she did a good job. I liked the beginning parts. Like just like the whole like bus scene I thought was really cool. Because that's in the trailer. And then like later on and stuff, when they do the whole what you're this thing, how can that be? Then I'm not so fond of not necessarily her, but just like the movie just kind of drags for a little bit and just gets very tropey and cringy at times. But then once they actually do more plot stuff like near the end, go to location. I'm kind of being vague because this movie still is new enough, and because stuff that happens in this film happened in She-Hulk, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But that stuff, people might watch this film now that they know that She-Hulk and like that is connected. So that's why I kind of don't want to go too far in depth for this film. But yeah, once they get to main location, then I thought the movie really picked up. I thought they're really cool set designs and special effects. A character who shows up that you just don't expect shows up as out of nowhere, and he's hilarious. Yeah, so I mean, I don't rate movies generally, but this is better than other Marvel films I've seen recently. Um, so I don't know where I would put it. I mean, it's definitely like a solid, like somewhere in the 8s. Probably a solid 8.
Yeah.
Because I think it does things really cool, and it's barely tied to the Marvel universe until like the thing that happens in like I mean I guess I'll spoil this like because you see it in what do you call it in She-Hulk, but like there's a fight, there's like an underground fight arena, and there's Wong there, and then there's the Abomination there from like old Hulk, Incredible Hulk. So that's cool to see. But otherwise, besides the post-credit scene, there isn't much Marvel in there.
Right.
And I think that's why it stands so tall, because it doesn't have to rely on all these other things. I didn't really enjoy Moon Knight for the most part, but I do appreciate how Moon Knight's kind of the same way, where it is just like, here's a brand new IP, don't need to know anything, just go for it, one done, you're done.
I think that's what Marvel does best. I mean, we were talking about the D23, and they showed some of the trailers of the new stuff, and they showed that Wolf by Night. That is something completely new that they've never done.
Yeah.
So Yeah, and I can appreciate that. And I liked Shang-Chi. I think it is great to now have, you know, that Asian superhero on the big screen.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah. I did hear, speaking of that, because we're talking about representation, I heard something where supposedly, you know how like all these movies are getting canceled and stuff, like DC stuff as well. I heard that supposedly Static Shock is still in development, and the person who's doing it is saying, "Stop asking me if it's in development or not," because it sounds like it's still there somehow, but it's not super. I don't know, because of the whole HBO Max and the No More Batgirl and stuff like that. It's kind of treading on water there. So that's concerning. I really like the second Blue Beetle, Jaime Reyes, I think. I like him a lot, so I'm hoping that we do get that Blue Beetle movie, because that'd be really cool to see as a Hispanic
Oh
superhero
yeah.
on the big screen. You don't see that often. So like I think that would be really cool to see. I would, day one, I'm gonna go see Static. I love Static Shock. That stupid cartoon is like, I rewatched that like a few years ago because it's on DVD and stuff. It's not on. I think it's on HBO Max too.
Yeah, I
Um,
think
but that show is good and bad at the same time. But like overall, like it's a Spider-Man show. Like that's the reason why I like Batman Beyond. It's Spider-Man. It's very much here's a young hero trying to juggle between his life and his superhero stuff, and he's very quippy, and that's what Spider-Man is to a T. Um, so yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing all these other films eventually. I guess the last thing we'll talk about here, dang, we were going for a while. I told you earlier, but because I guess I want to say this as well, because we are a bi-weekly podcast now, we're not necessarily going to try to do this, but we're going to make our episodes more meatier for you. Just because like you deserve something a little more. If we're not necessarily taking a break every other week, we're doing other things potentially. We should be, but we still want to give you a quality product out there. So because so many things happen, we should talk about it like this. So yeah, I kind of want to go into She-Hulk really quick here because you caught up with it. Without going into any sort of spoilers, I want to know what's your overall feeling of this show. Do you enjoy it? And also, would you recommend it to people?
um yes. Yes and yes. So I like it a lot. And I think it because it reminds me of a lot of different things where, where she talks to the camera, you know,
Mm-hmm.
um, she does that in like every episode. Like, you know, hey, we said we weren't going to do this and blah, blah, blah. This happens. I like that. I like her as a character. I like how it's just not like Winter Soldier, Falcon Winter Soldier, where it's action all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not, and that character specifically um, is not always fighting. So, would I recommend it? Yes. Do I like it? Yes. Um,
Yeah.
I I mean, out of the Marvel shows, I have not like it's hard watching some of them all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
I just get like bored or whatever. But this one, I have no problem watching.
Well,
Yeah,
also they're shorter. Like they're 30 minutes or less.
and that's a good number for me.
I think so too. Especially for a comedy, it's not overstaying its welcome. Um,
Exactly. So, without going into spoilers, should you be watching She-Hulk? Yes.
and
Yes.
honestly, for the most part, like even if you don't know much about Marvel, I think you would still enjoy this film. If you have a base knowledge of Marvel, um you would still enjoy this. Like, yes, there are some cameos, but they also, because it is what it is. It is a Deadpool show essentially, where she's talking
Right.
to the camera. She tells you, it's like, oh, we got this person. You're happy that we got this. He's good Twitter armor. Like, they're very candid about that. Um, but yeah, I like the show. I think it is. I don't think it's necessarily a good entry point, but if you're watching a show with like a friend or a significant other or whoever who isn't necessarily big into Marvel or doesn't necessarily know enough about Marvel, I think they would still get a kick out of the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, for sure. So anyway, we went through a lot of stuff there, and that was technically all me. Do you have anything else that you watched?
Mostly those. The one thing I have been playing one game, which is, and I'll be quick about it, was I don't know, I felt really nostalgic about it. So I started a replay of Costume Quest 2. And I don't know, maybe because it's the fall season, um, I just felt like playing it. And
You're
so,
just like, it's too cold right now. Better play some
yeah.
Costume Quest.
Well, and it's good because I can play it where the kids are awake or not. And I've
Mm,
been playing Cowabunga Collection,
mm.
but those games seem to be, hard. And, sometimes you get pretty frustrated. Like I'm stuck on the second Game Boy game. There's a boss. I'm stuck on the boss. I'm stuck on
Oof.
Bebop. I'm like at third level. So, um, yeah. So I've been playing a little bit of that there. And of course, I watch the same things that Alex has been watching, which has been nice. That we can kind of talk about those. But it's funny that we were talking about Star Wars because let's just jump in. So our first story about James Earl Jones, he is retiring as being the voice for Darth Vader. Um, that is, it's sad, but he did sign off on the AI recreations of his voice. He is in his 90s, and so I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
Uh, Darth Vader is such an iconic character. I loved. There was an interview not too long ago where he was like, when I did Star Wars, I got paid $2,000 to this voice. He goes, but then they were like, "Oh, it's a big hit. We want to do another one," and they gave me a contract for $2,000. He's like, no," and which is crazy because if you've ever seen like his acting on stage, he is a very good actor.
Oh yeah, I love him in Coming to America.
Yes, yes. I have not watched the second Coming to
Near
America,
have I,
but
because I'm afraid. I've heard it's bad, and so I just don't want to, I don't know, make a bad memory of that show.
um, but it's crazy, like, you know, watching him do these like shows like Field of Dreams. Oh my god, he was amazing in Field of Dreams. So is this sad? Yes. But at some point we had to be going through our minds that he is going to retire from doing the voice. I mean, it's gonna happen. I think Alex, you looked him up. He's what, 96?
No, I was wrong. It says 91.
91. Okay, he's 91 years old. Let him retire.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the AI voices they get are hard to tell that it's not him. You know?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. They mentioned this, and once the story broke out, oh yeah, I guess we're reading this from Adam Bankhurst, but I honestly, a lot of other places are talking about it. I think it was
Oh
originally a
yeah.
Variety, breakthrough, article, but yeah, Vanity Fair says, but in the Kenobi show, that was the first time they did the AI voice, so we have actually never, we didn't notice. um so that's the crazy thing right there.
And he'll still get credit for it. I mean, he'll still, because even though it's AI, because I remember looking it up on IMDb and I'm pretty sure they had his voice. Um, this is okay. I know people are freaking out about it. It's okay. Let's let him retire. Let him, you know.
Yeah, well, the I mean, obviously, like, there are a lot of good and bad things about this, but the most interesting fact about this is that they the people who did this are Ukrainian tech workers at a place called Respeecher, and they were doing this for Kenobi while the Russian invasion was happening. Like that's crazy to
Crazy.
me. That they're still able to work on this and do it so well that we just didn't even notice.
Yeah, because I was like, "Oh, crap, it's James Earl Jones."
Yeah.
Like, I did not notice until this was said that it was not him physically doing the
You could
art.
have lied to me and just said yes it was him this whole time and I would just have believed you. But yeah, it says that it uses archival recordings and a proprietary AI algorithm to create new dialogue with the voices of the performers from long ago. Um, so this is pretty interesting to see. It'd be interesting if I don't know, maybe they used it kind of. Maybe they helped Mark Hamill do it and
Maybe.
spoilers. Um, but um, but yeah, it's interesting to see this kind of thing and think of now when people sign for a role, are they also going to have to sign for their voice at a certain point if this thing does
Maybe.
get that big? For these bigger people, like I don't know, like I mean, just imagine if we what's his name? Who's the big guy? Honestly, there's a bunch of ones, but I mean, I guess sure, Tim Curry. Let's just say, like Tim Curry is a very well-known voice and voice actor. Um, like just imagining him signing off on his voice, so then we could hear him as bad example, but I hear him as Nigel Thornberrys from the Wild Thornberrys for the rest of our lives. Or here now I can't think of his name, but like the guy who does like Winnie the Pooh and Pete and all that kind of stuff. Like hear him sign off his voice so then an AI can do that from now on, because a lot of these characters at a certain point, like they are, or a lot of these voice actors, they've been doing this for so long that they are the voice. And I understand like with Mickey, like they hand off Mickey, they hand off Minnie, and Donald and stuff, but sometimes like could it just be easier to just do this instead if it does get good enough? Mel Blanc, that's what I was thinking of, the original Bugs and Daffy and all of that.
Yeah.
Like just imagine like if we had this sort of technology back then, I'm sure they would be doing this to him, so then we would have him as Bugs and all this
Well,
forever.
and it's definitely like a preservation as well. You
Yeah.
know, we know we're gonna get Darth Vader going forward. We
Yeah.
know we're gonna have Earl Jones do it. So I think if we can preserve the voices, I think it's great. Like you talking about Winnie the Pooh, that's Jim Cummings.
Yeah.
Um, he's getting older.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes, he still does cons and stuff, but like
was it the one?
he still can do his voices like Darkwing Duck and all that.
Yeah, it's so funny watching him do it. Um, but I think this. I know there's people upset online about it, but I feel like this is actually a good thing. And I think going forward, we'll be able to do more with this technology. You know?
Yeah, and I guess I will say again though, like his Darth Vader voice is already kind of digitized at a
Yeah,
sense. So like it's easier to get away with it, which is probably why we didn't notice. Um so I think that is something to say. But also yeah, I'm just interested to see now like what other things are going to happen with this type of technology and what people are going to be signing for at certain points of their life.
yeah. It should be interesting to see what this opens up for that. Um, it would be an interesting time, especially now this is here.
Yeah.
But you know what was really cool today was Ryan Reynolds tweeted out today, um, talking about how he could not be at D23, Disney's infamous thing. Talks about how hard it's been trying to get Deadpool 3 done. It's kind of a funny thing. He's going through all the scenarios. He's
Mhm.
going through like how hard it's been. He's sitting on the toilet, uh, and he's like, and we have nothing. He goes, but we have one thing. And Hugh Jackman starts walking by. He goes, "Hey Hugh, do you want my Wolverine one more time?" He's like, "Yeah, sure, Randall. Sure, you're sure, Ryan." And
Yeah.
then walks up the stairs. So that means in the new Deadpool, which there's a date as well.
Oh, was
Uh,
there a date? I don't think we saw a date on here.
yeah. So we're watching the video on Ryan Reynolds' Twitch page. They show a picture of Deadpool. They show like the symbol.
Yeah, I love this logo right here. This
Yeah,
I mean, for audio listeners, we're looking at the Deadpool 3 logo, but it's a Deadpool face logo, and then there's just the Wolverine like scratch through it. I think it looks
yeah. If
awesome.
you push play to the very end,
Oh wow,
look,
yeah, 2024. Oof.
yeah, but we've got another year, a full year,
Okay.
but Hugh Jackman's coming back to play Wolverine.
Well, because didn't we say, is it 2025 maybe, when the original contracts run out for all those X-Men people, and then after that, then they can start recasting people?
Yeah, so it should be interesting. Well, and on several interviews, they asked Hugh Jackman, he's like, to get into the shape to be Wolverine is difficult. He goes, I'm a lot older. Um, it's not easy at all to do this. I know Dave Bautista was the same way. Like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm gonna stop being Drax because the workouts are insane.
Yeah.
So, uh, and with them doing this, you know, there's always been the talks of like, is Wolverine coming back? Is he coming back? And I guarantee they threw him literally like Scrooge McDuck money and said, "We need you to come back as Wolverine one more time."
It's crazy though, because like Logan was such like the swan song of Wolverine,
Yeah,
and it's so amazing. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's awesome. It's sad, especially if you've been like following this character forever. That old man Logan story. But like that was the last time we've seen him as Wolverine, I want to
yeah.
say. Because Days of Future Past already happened. Um, so that was so until now, with this movie, like yeah, we're gonna get him. Who else are we gonna get? That's the thing.
I mean,
And
it would,
who is it? Because if this is Deadpool's first Marvel film, is he gonna run into a different Wolverine? Is this still our normal Hugh Jackman Wolverine? Is he gonna be, or is he going to be wearing like the yellow suit?
I don't know. It should be interesting. I would not be surprised if obviously Doctor Xavier shows up,
Mm-hmm.
or what would be really cool would be Storm, which would be like if they had Halle Berry.
Oh yeah.
Um, there's that clip from Deadpool 2 spoilers. Spoilers. There's that clip where he was talking about like that they had no they had no money for this film, and they couldn't even get like any of the X-Men from any of the films. As he walks by a room with the newer X-Men from like the earlier films,
Yeah.
and like Japanese Beast shuts the door.
Yep.
Uh, so I don't know. I don't know. Uh, this was kind of cool. It came out of nowhere, and so I think that was really cool. I think that was really cool how he did that.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, on there, it's already at like 17 million views. I bet you people are just going completely ape crap over it. I mean, because it's a big deal because he literally said, "I'm not doing Wolverine anymore."
Yeah.
Logan, and now here we are. He's gonna be in the new Deadpool, which is even funnier. It's being produced by Marvel's new owner, Disney.
Yep. Which I think is gonna be awesome. I mean, and Deadpool 2 are both on Disney Plus now. If you do your parental stuff correctly.
Was Logan?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Logan as well. I completely forgot about that. I have Logan on Blu-ray. My Logan also came with the black and white Blu-ray too, which is interesting. I wonder how that plays because supposedly like it looks really cool in black and white.
I mean, I mean, black and white in some things is great. Like, I at one point was gonna go back and play Ghost of Tsushima
Mhm.
in Kurosawa mode, which was all black and white with like the lines, like a really bad grainy video.
Yeah.
Um, I I think watching Logan in black and white would be kind of fun.
Yeah, I think so too.
Um, and if you have not watched Logan without spoiling it, it's not a go luck film where it's like, oh, we're gonna win and everyone is good. It's very sad and dark.
It's very
Um,
much a last man on earth type thing. So yeah, take with that whatever what you will, but it is excellent. I would also recommend watching X-Men 1, 2, and 3 before, and at least Days of Future Past. Um just to get, and I guess the other Wolverines maybe. Just to get your mind in the right place and to really, Logan was made because we all love Hugh Jackman so much. And so that's why that movie exists. If we didn't like Wolverine or Hugh Jackman at all, then that movie wouldn't have happened. Because that is his movie, him and other characters. But yeah, definitely watch that film when you have a chance. It is
do you
on
know?
streaming services.
Do you know who's not excited? Rockstar. Uh, so there was about a dozen of GTA 6 videos leaked, and this is from this happened last week. This is a story by Ryan Didsdale on IGN. So here's the thing: is um, the hacker they had a hacker leaked around 90 videos of Grand Theft Auto 6, also targeted Uber, but they're being investigated by the FBI because for
Mm-hmm.
this year. And I know Rockstar came out with something saying like, yes, these are real. This did happen. Um, this is a. Here's what Rockstar said: we believe that this attacker or attackers are affiliated with the hacking group called Lapis, which is increasingly active over the year or so. Uber said uh, the group typically uses the same similar techniques to target um, companies in 2022. Alone, the breach, one of some ones they've done are Microsoft, Cisco, Samsung, Nvidia, amongst others. So here's what's crazy. I've seen some of the videos, and technology, like graphic wise, it looks phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
But again, this is a game they've been working on for how many years now? Because here's the thing: Grand Theft Auto has been out, 5 has been out through 3 console generations.
Yep.
PlayStation 3, they really released it for PlayStation 4, and they just re-released it not too long ago for PlayStation 5. At this point, stop making us wait. Show us something. And there's been nothing. They've shown nothing except for the name. And
Yeah.
it's just Grand Theft Auto 6.
Yeah, I agree. It's a little bit of that you played yourself meme. But at the same time, there is, I mean, obviously it's bad that these places got hacked. And that stuff happened. And it's weird because I did overhear this in like other either podcasts or videos or whatever, but it's kind of like the meme where it's whatever happens, no one bats an eye. But if this happens, then the world's on fire. I forget the
Yeah.
actual quote, but it's like, oh, when Nintendo gets a leak, no one cares about Nintendo. They're just caring about their games and see if their games are on that leak. Um, because they just don't care about that company. But when GTA gets leaked, then it's more of like, oh no, poor Rockstar, and they care more about Rockstar the company than the games. And it's just interesting to see the other way around, where like, yes, leaks are always bad, regardless of um whether or not you see that your Kirby game is coming out or not. Or your Zelda game that's never coming out on Switch because you all made it up. Um, like
Yeah.
like the other stuff. But yeah,
And I think
it's interesting to see.
I think like the physics they showed and some of the things they were showing are great, but again, they're not ready to show it. Okay,
Yeah, it just doesn't have that polish yet.
right, but they still need to show us something because that's why these things happen. I feel is because we've been waiting so long for it.
I don't think this would have happened if we were remote, because I remember hearing stuff where like it's some play builds that must have been like on someone's computer or been given to someone else because of remote work, and that's how these hackers found it.
Yeah. Um, I will say that in this year, um, supposedly FBI is working. The FBI and the U.S. Department of Justice are looking into this attack. This is regardless if it was a video game or not. The point is, this was an attack, and
Yeah.
they have their own cyber crimes division. So whoever did it, I would be nervous now that the FBI is involved. You know, I liked the what I saw. I liked.
Hmm.
Okay, better mechanics. Um, just all kinds of things. So this should be interesting. When it actually does, but it also pushes Rockstar to get a trailer out.
Hmm.
Get me the polished trailer, so we're not basing whatever it is off of this stuff here. You know,
Yeah.
I think it's going to cause them to do a lot more work. So
Yeah, but I mean, I guess you could have said the other way around too, though. Like, if we did get like some sort of cinematic trailer at E3, and then we saw this, there would be a bunch of stories where like the game isn't ready yet. They lied to us. It doesn't actually look like this. So either way, I mean, it's it's the other saying. I know it mostly from Bart Simpson, but you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. So
yeah, so we will keep you informed with this here and see what happens from it. But we're going to take a quick break, real quick, to listen to our sponsor today. And when we come back, we got more stories.
yep. Stay tuned.
Hi, Ben from the Get At It Gaming Podcast, here to talk a little bit about Anchor. If you've not heard of Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and many more. You can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Hello, welcome back to the Get Out of Gaming Plus podcast. Yeah, before we go into the next story, Alex, you said you had something?
Yes, I do. If I can actually do some stuff here, hang on. Now all my stuff is messed up. Which is fine. Yeah. So I wanted to show this off because I've been showing this to everyone today. McDonald's had a commercial that happened yesterday with Lupin the Third for his 30th anniversary, or 60th. Wait, 60? 50th anniversary. And so it's Lupin Part 6 here. And they're just like ordering McDonald's with the app. Like that's what it is. That's just like what the little thing is here. Because Lupin just recently had a big old anniversary. So Lupin's been here for I want to say 50 years. So pretty fun little thing to see. So
they've been around almost as long as Godzilla, which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I have the part 1 of Lupin on Blu-ray. I still haven't watched it all the way through yet, but it really shows its age. That's for sure.
Yes.
But yeah.
So does Godzilla.
Gojira. Yeah.
That's crazy. All right, so let's just jump into. We will not probably spend a ton of time on this one, probably because a lot of people saw it coming. So G4, it was coming back. It came back, and less than a year after coming back, they did layoffs. And so our story is from Kotaku with some updates. So this one was originally posted on 9/14, which literally happened right then and there. So 20 to 30 staff, which for that studio, that's a lot of people that got laid off.
Yeah.
They didn't do any of their streams or anything that day. But here's the kicker. So one of the hosts of X Play, Frosk, she was really big in um, the streaming realm. She came from some sort of competition somewhere. She made a comment about, "Hey, I survived," which is kind of insensitive. And so later that day, she got fired. And then just recently, Kevin Pereira is leaving. So this is crazy because I was so hyped on earlier episodes about G4 coming back. I remember watching it when I was younger. I don't think they did a good job with their rebranding because, yes, they were on Twitch. Yes, they were on YouTube Live. And they had all this stuff. But they brought back Arena, which is a huge game. But then they made it into okay, so it used to be there was some trash talking and then you'd play games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the winner of those games, they have different competitions, and the winner would be the actual winner of that episode of Arena. But it turned into trash talking with bringing in WWE stars to go one on each side. It was so weird. It just did not make sense, and it shouldn't have been an hour and a half. But I think I'll let you chime in as well, Alex. I think what happened was they were trying to do this thing again, but it's just not relevant with the outlets we have nowadays.
Yeah, so a thing. Yes. We've talked about this a lot. I don't know if we've talked about this before because just the avenue of podcasting and streaming and all of that we just do so many different things. But the one thing that I remember that I didn't even notice until Jesse Cox brought it up on one of his little things. He has a YouTube channel. Obviously he's been a big YouTube person. But he has a show now every day called 5-Minute Gaming News, which is normally about 5 or 6 minutes. And he just kind of goes over the big things. But there was one where he talked about G4 a few months ago and about how he was subscribed to G4 and they changed the way the YouTube was, and just all of a sudden he was only subscribed to just XPlay. They renamed G4, main G4 on YouTube, as just XPlay instead. And then they separated all the shows out on different channels instead of just the main G4 hub. And I didn't notice because I was just I'm not getting these shows anymore. That's weird. And that's kind of what he said too. And it's oh, it's because I'm only subscribed to XPlay now because that's the way that they did it. And I think that's really stupid because G4 is supposed to be this big old channel of stuff, and I guess it's to not have oversaturation and have content maybe drown other content. But if you're going to be posting on other channels anyway and you're all still affiliated with each other, might as well still just post it on the same channel. It doesn't hurt anything. But as your point and as the point we've made before is that I don't go to G4 for things anymore. Because when I was younger and I wanted to know about Tokyo Game Show, I would stay up late and watch game trailers. They had people who actually went to TGS and you would just watch the live stream. You would watch E3 stuff on G4. You would just do a lot of that stuff that way. But now that we have the internet, we have someone somewhere live streaming it because everyone knows that everyone is interested in these things, regardless of location or nationality. Just because, like, yeah, America would love to know about this random RPG that Japan's only talking about. Like, just because, like, yeah, like, I want to see that stuff. Versus, I mean, the same thing the other way too. Like, I'm sure Japan or like Europe wants to see stuff that America's doing, like indies and all this other stuff. Like, there's just a lot easier way now of sharing content in general, not just video games, but like movies and stuff too. We talked about earlier with like D23, which wasn't really done that well, and the things that you did want to see was only behind a paid wall, so you didn't even see them. But until later. But still, like, we get to see trailers and stuff now on the internet. We don't have to rely on just gametrailers.com. We don't have to rely on seeing them on G4, on XPlay, on Attack of the Show, whatever. We have other channels now. There isn't just the G4 channel. We don't need it anymore. That's what I'm trying to say. Regardless of the personalities, and like you were talking about earlier, like, yeah, Kevin Pereira, all these people are no longer there. That was the only reason to go there. It's like kind of funny. If Greg Miller disappears, I mean, a little bit of a bad example because Colin disappeared, but like if Greg Miller disappears from Kind of Funny, that's the death of that channel. That's the death of that company. And whatever company else that he does would do better, maybe, or would do fine. But yeah, it's just you go to these places for personalities.
Well, and I felt like they switched the shows so much. So Attack of the Show used to be an hour long, and it was a bunch of stuff. It had funny clips. It had, at the beginning, they did this thing called Around the Net where they would pick out some of the funniest videos.
Mm-hmm.
They had some sort of tech thing, and they had some skits, usually. They had movies, and they had video games. And that was the show. XPlay was reviews, previews, and that's what it was. So XPlay now is a roundtable discussion where they have one review usually, and it's Adam Sessler that does it. Or they do it this way. And I think that's what got me. Now, do they have the right people? Obviously, they have like heavy streamers. But I think one thing that people didn't talk about is Amelie, who was on here, just disappeared off of the cast. And she was one that I would watch, and I laughed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they lost Kevin Pereira. Frost got fired. Adam Sessler's next.
Is Xavier still there? Or is he just kind of a floater?
He's kind of a floater, but I want to think that he put up some of the money for this.
I want to say he did too. Because I know, besides this, I know he's talked about before, he wants to bring Nick Arcade back and host that. I know that's a big thing that he really wants to do. But like I know, to be honest, I only knew the original G4 people and Xavier Woods and Gerard, and that was it. Those are the only people who I originally knew. I eventually knew more about these other people, and from what I've seen, like, they're fine or whatever. They all have their quirks and good points, bad points, but yeah, seeing I have other ways of watching Gerard, and seeing him in this type of venue, I don't really care. So I'm not gonna watch it. Especially with all these other people like Kevin Pereira disappearing.
And Kevin's got his own outlet where he does stuff, and so does Gerard. Like, for people like Gerard, if he goes, it's okay. Because he's got another business that he has.
Yeah.
You know, I prefer watching Gerard trying to complete games. And because he's been doing G4, those have been few and far between.
Yep.
And I like Beard Bros and a couple of the shows, but that's what they did. They took these shows, they structured the shows to what they wanted, the fans wanted. That's how you do it. Like, I wanted X Play, and it'd be cool because X Play was only 30 minutes. If you make it an hour now, yeah, but then they would do like the after show,
Mm-hmm.
and it'd be like random talk about things for like whatever. They did a bunch of, where they would show the video and they would talk about it over the summer for not E3. So I I saw this coming, and it's crazy because if we remember way back, I said, dude, G4 is coming back. This is sick. I was so stoked. And when I started watching it, I think after the first month, you're like, I think you even asked if I was still watching it. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
It just wasn't what I wanted. And then they would do like, which you gotta involve. You can't just keep doing the old same thing. But it was too much of a change.
Mm-hmm.
They had a bunch of really weird shows on there, which so did G4, but they just didn't make sense for the channel.
Mm-hmm.
So I think by first year, G4 is done. So hey, if you're looking to buy your G4 mugs and your sweatshirt, you might want to get on their website and buy it because I give it a year. I literally give it till first of the year and they're done. So
yeah,
I'm sorry, G4. I did my best to try and promote you, but yeah. So let's move on to a story people are probably definitely talking about. I know you and I talked about it. So this is a story on IGN by Ryan Disdale. Twitch removes its best paying revenue split for streamers. So Twitch is removing its best paying 70-30 revenue split for most of the streamers, and it commits to standing its 50-50 split. Wow, that's a big deal. If you're making 70% and Twitch is making 30%, they're still making a pretty penny.
So with those people, I mean, we can go further into the actual article here later, but basically, the 70-30 thing was more or less from bigger like all this is for partner streamers, so people who aren't me. There's affiliate and then there's partner. And for partner streamers, if you're invited and like basically Twitch is like it's for a select premium, Twitch like really wants you, then they're going to give you a 70-30 because you're making so much money that it's essentially the same as them getting that 50 split, if they were just doing 50-50 with like a normal person maybe. But yeah, they're taking that away. But let's see. And then yeah, 50-50 split is the most common for everyone, honestly. So this is only really affecting the top 1% of Twitch streamers. But it's still a big deal because they are losing their money, and then with this, people who have been loyal for Twitch forever, like even Kind of Funny and stuff, like they make a lot off of Twitch, off of subs, donations, and all of this. If they're no longer getting this, then they're gonna look in other places to do it. Like I know Kind of Funny and even other people that I've seen are looking into doing YouTube streaming instead, and they've just been doing that instead of doing Twitch streaming, or they separate their stuff there. So like with Kind of Funny, you can watch their shows live on YouTube by clicking on it, and I don't think it airs on Twitch anymore. Correct me if I'm wrong. But you can still watch them on their other like you can still watch them like play their games and stuff when they're actually like Twitch streaming on Twitch. So it's just kind of like a split there. And I wonder how many other people are going to be moving to this. But yeah, again, this is a 1% thing, but they do talk about it in here. This is going to start in June 1st, 2023, so it's possible it might even go away. Or something might change.
Right.
They won't go back to a strict 50-50 deal with these new rules. So the people with 70-30 will still get a 70-30 split until they hit $100,000 earned. Then it goes to 50-50. So I don't know if that's each year, because a lot of people like earn a lot of money. So you're just going to get 100,000 immediately, and then after that, then you just have 50-50 for the rest of the year. Like, depending on who you are, like, this might be a big deal. This might not be a big deal, even if you are one of those 1%. But yeah, everyone's getting 50-50 now, essentially. It'd be interesting if they did do this for everyone. Because as far as I see, I don't think everyone's getting that.
No.
I think it's just the previous people who were grandfathered in. That'd be interesting to see for every partner. Like, hey, you all get 70-30 first until you're 100,000, then you get 50-50, because not everyone makes 100,000. So to give the smaller people who are partner 70-30, I think that'd be actually really good.
I would think that if you're making money off of people, it's basic business. You want to keep your top earners happy.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that they are continuing to earn, and that's just business 101. So I found this to be kind of a weird thing, but we live in a world where prices and things adjust all the time. Let's look at Netflix threatening to say, "Oh, well, if you're in a different house, you have to pay like a fee, and we're gonna raise the rates again." And then Disney's like, "Oh, hey, so if you just do our $7.99, you're gonna get commercials. You got to switch to $10." And then Hulu went up as well, which
Yeah,
they own.
just recently.
Yeah, and so it's definitely like the way of the world where companies are like, I need to recoup this, I need to recoup this. But I feel like Twitter has not lost any money with the pandemic whatsoever. If anything, they made more money because people are wanting to be entertained on Twitch. And they're like, you know what? I'm going to give my favorite Twitch guys some money, or I'm going to do 6 months sub. So this story is definitely disheartening, but if you look at the way businesses have been going in the last couple of months or this year, this is what they're doing now.
Yep.
It's like, we need to make more money, and so how are we going to be able to do it? And and I really do hope that streamers are like, you know what, screw this, and they go to YouTube. I'm sure YouTube right now is like, bring it. We will support you, and I guarantee they're already working on adding to their infrastructure if they get a big flux of people that want to stream all on the same day.
Yeah.
You know, and I like Twitch. I try to go on there. I try to support people I know. So yeah, that sucks. That really sucks. Let's talk about E3 2023. Billy Gibbons from IGN wrote that it is coming back June 13th through the 16th, separate days and halls for press and public. Did we really miss it? Did we really miss it last year? Because I feel like we didn't.
No. I mean, having E3 physically again isn't really gonna help out the cause and the issue, because all of these companies now can just talk. It means the same thing we talked about earlier with G4. Like, all these companies can now just say whatever they want whenever they want. They don't need a thing like this to announce something. So if anything, I feel like we're gonna see less and less stuff. We're still gonna see like indies and stuff around this time, and it's always good to have indies on the ground floor, so people can physically play them and see new things for those developers. Like, that's why we have packs and stuff like that. But like we had the direct recently, like, for like Pikmin was announced, Pikmin 4. If we were having normal E3 like a few years ago, that would be an E3 announcement.
Oh, absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
just nowadays, people are like, oh, we can just say anything whenever we want and it'll just happen. So yeah, we don't need it. It's always fun to see that week of things, but the week of things is growing smaller and smaller because it's either just a bunch of random indies, some PC publishers, or Nintendo. I mean, yes, there's some Microsoft here or there. There's some let's see. I mean, I guess Microsoft, Bethesda. There's I don't know, Square Enix, I guess, had a tiny thing. Some other people have tiny things. But like PlayStation, like Sony goes the month before and the month after. They don't even touch that week anymore necessarily.
What I also feel like nowadays from them, feels like Sony just is like, we've not gone for years, you know? And I think it was better when they didn't open it to the public. I know I'm that guy. I don't feel like it should be a press thing, and then they get out to us. Yes, and I always want to go to E3, yeah, but it's definitely not like on my bucket list. See what happens. I mean, I don't think anyone's like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait for E3. We still got everything we wanted with there not being E3, and so and like people like Microsoft aren't going to pay the millions and millions of dollars to be at E3 when they're going to be like Sony and go, you know what, we can just do our own thing. Look at our numbers.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure. I mean, E3 again, we don't need it. It's always cool to see something happening around that time, just because I'm just used to it. Like it's kind of like that. I watched a video earlier. I don't know if it was old or not. Of James Rolfe, but like it. So that's why I'm gonna allude to this. It's kind of like Saturday morning cartoons. Like you're just used to it, and you're gonna just go and just be like, oh, it's that time of the day or the week, or it's that time of the year where I get to just watch cool video game stuff. And that's still a fun time to see. You're just not seeing the big hitters as much as you used to.
Yeah, I feel like they save those for other things. So.
Yeah, they save them for their own things. TGS, Nintendo has like a thing like in always September, or July or whatever. So yeah.
Wow, what a crazy show! A little bit longer, like we said. This episode's gonna post on Wednesday of this week. The video on Friday. We are still gonna keep to our bi-weekly episode releases. So this will release this week. Next week there will be no episode, but the week after, we're coming back with another episode. Which I feel this is gonna be better because we have more things to talk about. Definitely on that.
Yeah.
Do you have a shout out or anything to say, Alex?
I do not, but I thought you did.
Oh, that's right. So yes, I do, and I'm going to talk about Amber real quick again. So I don't know, you guys are on Whatnot. I have been on Whatnot for a while. I'm a reseller, and I buy stuff like Alex does. So, Markets Tees, which I'm gonna put on our Facebook as well. He sells video games. He sells, retro. I bought some stuff from him before. His NES looked brand spanking new. He is our hit of the week, shout out of the week, whatever you want to call it. But he was great. He has a show coming up. I will list that on our Facebook page of when that show is, just because, we should definitely be trying to hit the small businesses up, and that's technically what he is. But I'm telling you, man, like his products look brand new.
Yeah.
Like, I showed them to Alex when I got them.
Yeah.
They look brand spanking new.
I think you showed them on the show once too. So like, yeah.
Yeah. So if you would like to also be our shout out of the week, if you are a streamer, you do YouTube, have a podcast, hit us up on Facebook or Twitter.
Yeah.
We're always looking for new people to kind of collab with and make our shout out of the week, because we know what it's like.
Exactly. And if you have a decent mic, maybe it'll be cool enough to be on the show. Who knows?
Yes. Yes. I mean, Cooper's been on almost every episode because he likes to eat or drink every single time we record. My dog. Yeah. Well, hey, that has been our show. Alex, do you have anything else to say?
Nothing except get at it.
Get at it.